Hello.
Hello.
So good to see you.
Good to be here. Good to see you.
Yes, I'm so excited to do this. Thank you, Rachel. I know you're extremely busy running an amazing organization, doing a million different things, but I couldn't be more grateful for you to come here and give us your time. This is Tajdeed's first collaboration with Youth on Route, where I also work. And Rachel is also my boss, but we're very excited to do this. So, Rachel, we're going to have a lot of interesting conversations, but let us just introduce ourselves first. I am Sumaira. I hail from India. I also run Tajdeed and I work as a development associate at Youth on Route. Um, Rachel is the right person to explain everything about Youth on Route, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Myers. I use she, her pronouns, and I am Youth on Roots Program Director. I am currently talking to y'all today from my home in Oakland, California. It's the unceded territory of the Chochenyo Ohlone people. And I am just so thrilled to be here and to be having this conversation with Sumaira, who just joined our team. And we're so ecstatic to have her on the Youth on Route team. And we're so ecstatic to be able to collaborate with Tajdeed because it totally blew me away the first time I kind of learned about her incredible project. So Youth on Route is a youth-led environmental justice organization. We are based here in California, and our mission is to center low-income youth and youth of color as change agents in their communities. We do that by providing tools for learning from each other and opportunities to use their unique power to promote environmental justice, because we believe that the lived experience of youth on the front lines of environmental racism and environmental harm, typically low-income youth of color, are those with the highest expertise to actually provide meaningful solutions to the climate disaster. So that's Youth en Route.
Amazing. I really appreciate the work that you're doing, especially youth centered, because that's where the change is supposed to happen. It's too far gone to, start it top down. So that's amazing. You're also a lot into grassroots movements and you're mobilizing the movements through the youth, which is amazing. Um, I want to know, I have a lot of questions for you, but is there a specific place where you would want to start?
Yeah, well, I'm excited today to be talking in particular about like spotlighting environmental justice activism by young people. Part of what we are passionate about on Youth en Route is just providing, as many platforms as possible to really celebrate and uplift youth leaders in this movement. So, being able to explore grassroots youth-led movements and community-led initiatives that are actually driving change from the local level and beyond, particularly in our home state of California. So we're really here today to kind of amplify the stories of young change makers and just to highlight what they're doing and just how appreciative we are of their work, and also support those who might be interested in getting involved but are trying to figure out where to start. Youth en Route, we always love to say that youth are not the leaders of tomorrow, they are the leaders of today. Right. And so if starting from this moment, from long ago, right, to be able to have the resources and the guide to get involved, or just to celebrate yourself for all the incredible work that you've done. And so, to kind of start us off, one of the biggest belief systems that I, as a former educator, have, as well as Youth en Route, is really grounding and starting from our stories. Because like I said before, we do genuinely believe that our lived experience is our expertise, right? And it's not named enough. It's hard to put that on a resume, right? It's hard to quantify it, but that's really at the center of our theory of change. And so, in order to kind of ground us in that story, I would really love to invite you to share your journey as an environmental justice activist and just tell us how you became involved in grassroots movements and community-led initiatives and what brought you here to Youth en Route and to the work you do with Tajdeed today.
Thank you. That is so interesting to hear all of the work that you're doing, and I'm so happy that finally I'm working in a place where I can not just share my story but live it as well. So that's very interesting. I think it all started for me. It started in with land. In India, my family, so both my parents are scientists, and specifically agriculture scientists. So they understand the delicate balance and the intricate dance between, a healthy soil, a vibrant ecosystem, and bountiful harvests. But that's not always the case. There's struggles of farmers in because of dependency on chemicals. There's unpredictable weather patterns. Some of them have more resources to get help, some of them don't. So because my father and mother are scientists, they were able to help in their own way. My father developed resilient varieties of seeds that are like pretty much everywhere in India. There's somebody, a large proportion of the population is eating the seeds that he developed genetically. I'm not that good in science. I got out of science, studying science the first chance I got. So I couldn't help in that way. So I had to do something else. Now, what am I good at? I'm good at activism. I am good at getting angry, fighting for oppression. I'm fighting against oppression, fighting for people who need their voices amplified. And I'm good at educating people. I'm good at amplifying stories, creating impact through stories. So that's how I got in here. And then I came to the US, and unfortunately, it's not so different over here as well. The people are different, culture is different, but the communities of color are still most likely to live in the US near polluting facilities like factories where there are food deserts, there are landfills. And in order to and that cycle of redlining somehow continues. So, to get them out of there, of course, there's a lot of systemic change that's necessary, but there's also a movement from bottoms up that is necessary. And that's going to come from that community, those people. It's not going to be it's not going to be effective if it comes down as a law, from top down, because those nuances, those understandings in policy will also come from the people's lived experiences. So that's how I got involved with you guys, where you're doing the most amazing work. So I'm here to learn from all of you and then take some of this back to India as well. But I also wanted to ask you that you've been doing this work for a while. You're running this amazing organization. It's having great impact in the area. How do you believe grassroots movements and community-led initiatives sort of continue to address environmental changes that larger institutions and governments, and probably because of bureaucracies, they overlook?
Yeah. Whew, all right. How do I start answering this question? Well, I think that there's a few things that I want to highlight. When it comes to the reality that we're in, facing what very often feels like apocalyptic climate disaster, right? There is a desperate kind of seeking of solutions, right? And we can all agree it's not desperate enough, right? We can all agree that the urgency is incredibly high and that we needed to be implementing these solutions 50 years ago, right? And that even today, it's such a bitter fight just to get any kind of climate solutions, any kind of like recognizing that we need to destroy the fossil fuel industry, like all of these things where capitalism is fueling this continuation of the destruction of our planet, right? It is apocalyptic. And we do see that there are, small shifts in like global, nationwide policies that are being implemented. We see the rollout of the Inflation Reduction Act, right, coming to the United States. And it's not a but it's an and, right? When we're talking about national solutions to a country like the United States, right, or global solutions to an incredibly diverse planet, when we're thinking about statewide solutions to a state like California, which has innumerable different ecosystems, it's incredibly diverse in terms of the people who live here and their experiences. We have, incredibly tight urban areas like Los Angeles, like San Francisco Bay Area. We have the Central Valley, which, agriculture in the Central Valley is literally like feeding the nation, right? We have these massive agriculture areas that are very rural. We also have these really, really huge urban areas that are dealing with all kinds of heat islands, and we have wildfires in California. There's so much, right, going on in California. So when it comes to even one state, thinking about a climate solution that's going to impact, Fresno the same way as it impacts the Inland Empire, the same way it impacts Northern California, Oakland, right? Like the coastal region, there's just not going to be one solution. There can't be, and we can't be addressing things that way. And we can't be investing in solutions that only address one type of community or one type of ecosystem or environment, right? We can't leave out our rural brothers and sisters and the things that they're going through, which are very different than what, I'm experiencing here in Oakland. So the way forward, and the way that I believe grassroots movements really contribute to addressing genuine challenges and actually providing or creating impactful solutions that actually last, the only thing we can do is talk to the experts. Who are the experts? The people in those communities, the people who every single day in these neighborhoods, who know exactly, they know everything about the map of their community, that, all the aunties who know the history of the redlining that's happened in the neighborhood, who know how transportation has changed, who know how like the streets have changed, who understand deeply the infrastructure that they live in, who understand how the community has changed, how the landscape works, where the resources are. Those are the experts, right? And so these grassroots, particularly youth-led, community-centric movements and efforts, have the highest expertise of their neighborhood and of their community to be able to say, this ain't gonna work. This might, right? And so to really acknowledge that we do need to have like community-specific solutions. And that doesn't mean we can't collaborate on shared solutions or things that might work differently across the state, but we have to actually address the fact that if you want to implement some climate tech in, East Oakland, you better talk to the folks in East Oakland. Otherwise, it's just a bad business decision, in my opinion, as well as like it's not going to create as much of a positive impact as you think it might. And in fact, it actually might create harm if you're not aware of your surroundings, right? And I think that the other thing I want to say, and then I'll be done with my rant, is that young people, youth, right? High school age, middle school age, even the elementary school students that I worked with in Oakland, these are the people who have the ideas. These are the people who have the possibilities, having been kind of jaded by working in the nonprofit industrial complex for a decade, right? Who really have the imagination and the understanding and the energy to be able to create solutions. We did an incredible event called Nurturing the Land. It was an amazing panel discussion just via Zoom with some incredible young organizers. Please go on our Instagram and go watch it, because it actually blew my mind. And at one point, the subject of like, when you're working with activists who have been, old folks like me who have been in the field for a while, right? And who have kind of this understanding of like procedure and step by step, like, and this is how it's done. This is how it's always been done, and this is how we have to do it. Even for those folks like me who I think I'm a radical and I think I have new ideas, but in reality, I've been here for a while, so I kind of have a sense of like, this is how it goes. If I try to start an action, meanwhile, if the 17-year-old down the street tries to start an action and is like, I don't care about the rules, I'm just going to make it happen. Like what we've seen from these young people to be able to get an action going that afternoon, like with that sense of immediacy, that's something that we have to honor. And that's something we should be celebrating. And we should be looking to them to break through all the bureaucracy and really just like make stuff happen, right? And so I think that really just centering those voices and centering their energy and centering their commitment and their realization that all of the barriers that we imagine are sometimes just that, imaginary. And sometimes we just need to do the thing and make it happen and not get so caught up in, frankly, like all the rules that someone made up a long time ago, therefore they can be made up again. So I've gone off the rails a little bit. I'm gonna pause there, but
I love that.
to add.
Absolutely loved it. And especially, I want to highlight two very important things that came out of that. First is that, to sum it up, basically, the most important thing was that you changed the definition of expert. I love that. When you think of expert, and when I heard that sentence, the first person I thought was some scientist sitting somewhere, or some policymaker, or some senator, some think tank director. But then when you completely changed my idea of experts in grassroots levels, in grassroots movements, and I'm so thankful for that. And the second is positioning the youth as disruptors.
Yeah.
That's they are, because by nature they haven't been conditioned by those rules, like you said, and they don't care, honestly, which is amazing. um
Yeah.
I'm yeah, I think I'm starting to feel old as well, because I also have a certain, set of rules that I like to follow. But it wasn't that when I was like that rebellious high schooler. um
Right.
all of my
Right.
friends who are watching this, and my mom definitely will know, rules meant nothing. But now you put that and channel that into social change. Imagine what can happen. I love that idea. Thank you.
It's very true. And I'm also going to get shade from my partner and friends for calling myself old. I'm not allowed to do that anymore, but I just can't help myself. So, when we're talking about this and I guess we have a little wisdom, right? Like we've gained some experience. We have some things that we can share that might be useful to our incredible young people. And, not to tell them to change anything, but to say, hey, like we're here to help. So I would love to ask you, what advice do you have to someone who is interested in getting involved in environmental justice activism, or interested in getting more involved? Maybe they have been working with a club at their school, but they want to get more engaged. They want to, be a disruptor, as you said, right? So what advice might you have for a young person or an ally, right? Or an old person such as you and I, right? Like who might want to get involved in just supporting our young people in this movement to really, really like get down to business when it comes to ending the climate disaster and to fighting environmental racism. What advice would you have?
I
Would you
think
have?
the most important thing to remember is to start small. All of us have these big plans to change the world for good, and that's amazing. But the change for big doesn't always start at big.
Mhm.
You'll get there, but it's piece by piece. It's drop fills the ocean.
Right.
That's the philosophy. I think, is there a very simple way to translate it into everyday actions? Is there, look around your neighborhood. What needs to be done? How can you advocate for sustainable practices in your community? Is there a park that needs cleaning? Is somebody living in a neighborhood which doesn't meet the standards of health requirements? What can you do about it? Can you write a letter to your mayor? Can you write, a letter to some lawyer who can take care of it? Can you bring it to the world's attention? Those sort of small steps. If you educate even one person in sustainable practices, in the harms that have been caused as a result of people of color living in certain not so healthy communities, and the way to change that, if you can educate one person in that, you're good. You're
Yeah.
done. Like, that's you've done your bit of the change. It's amazing if you can go beyond that, but start small. That's I think one advice that I would give everybody, because it's also overwhelming in this field of social change. I want to call this the field of social change, where there's so much in the world that we want to change every day. You can't do it all in a day, not perhaps in our entire lifetime as well. So, but yeah, back at you, what is the one advice that you would give to young people?
Yeah. Well, I love your response. And I also just want to highlight, yeah, by educating that one person, like that person's going to go ahead and educate someone else. Like that work is exponential. And so just really like stay rooted in the impact that you're having by those relationships,
Yeah,
like a relationship, like a genuine connection with a human being on this topic, not necessarily doesn't even have to be combative. It can just be, one simple thing, right? To open somebody's eyes or to help them understand what they can do to help, or like where you're coming from, right? That is a huge and exponential impact. I want to answer this question by coming back to something you said. I loved when you were talking about your story and how your parents are these scientists, right? And you at some point were like, well, I'm not a scientist. That's maybe not the thing. I'm sure you're a brilliant scientist, first of all. But second of all, at some point you were like, this is not the contribution that I want to make. What am I good at? Right. And then I want to just say again, you said, I'm good at being angry. And I love that because anger is one of my favorite emotions that gets a bad rap. Anger lit the fire for my activism. I'm continually grateful
Absolutely.
and celebratory for my righteous anger. I have every right to be angry. And you know, it doesn't stop me, it just fuels me higher. And so recognizing that and saying, okay, what do I care about? What do I love? And what am I good at, or what do I want to be good at? You know, you don't even have to be like, okay, this is some talent I was born with. Like, what do you want to be good at? What are you interested in? And really recognize that we can't do it all, and we need every kind of contribution, right? We need artists, we need orators, we need scientists, we need angry people, right? We need nonprofit organizers. Like, we need all of these different things. And I think for young people, just really, really like digging into that and just celebrating your amazing talents and using your imagination to just not be limited to like what you think is possible, and not be limited to some idea that there is a certain path of contribution to this movement, or a certain like job that you have to have. There's so many different ways to contribute. And if you are an older person, we need a better name for us. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. Young millennials. But if you are, actually, are you a Gen Z or are you a young
No,
millennial?
actually, I'm a Gen Z. You're right. I'm a Gen
Oh,
Z. Yeah.
I was just gonna say maybe I'm not the only old one here. Um, but if you have been on the planet for, 25, 30, 35 plus years, right? And you have already gotten a little bit of brainwashing. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all in this together. There are really, really incredible resources to help you understand how to contribute to the movement. One of the folks that I want to just shout out is an organization called Slow Factory. If you've seen our Instagram stories, you know that we love to share their posts all the time because they're so brilliant. And they have this incredible concept that they've created called Callings and Roles for Collective Liberation. And it really helped me to read through, they have things like healer and artist and advocate and problem solver, developer, scientist, engineer, right? Troublemaker. Like, they have all these juicy things, and none of us is just one of these things, right? We all have many, many roles to play. But being able to start from somewhere, I was actually like just having this conversation with someone. When you start and you see all the problems and you say, oh, there's so much to do, it's complete overload, right? No one person can do it all. But if you think about it, like, who's your dream team in the apocalypse? You got to collect your artists, you have to collect your communicator, your strategist, your writer. You have to have all of these skills. And so where are your what is the word I'm looking for? Interwoven skills and passions, or places that you want to lean into? Because we all have a choice at the end of the day. Like, there are things I'm really good at that I'm not that interested in. That's okay. Like, I'm going to spend the time on things that maybe I'm not the best, but I enjoy it. It feeds me, it makes me feel like I'm making the contribution that I was put here on the planet to do. And so that's just one source of maybe inspiration, or that might help guide you as you think about it. But I think really figuring out, what do I want to do about it today? What can I contribute? Not necessarily how can I solve this massive problem that I did not create and that is this huge beast. But what is like my skill set that I can do to contribute to the collective that is out here fighting every day to change the way that we do things on our home planet.
Absolutely. There is no planet B.
Yeah, not that we've found it yet, and honestly, not that I'm interested in finding. I'm good here.
Absolutely. So, this was a wrap for our Tajdeed and Youth on Route collaboration. Happy Earth Week, everyone. We are very excited. There's a lot of interesting content coming up on Youth on Route. I will let Rachel tell you about that. But please go follow them on social media, see their amazing work, interact with them. Donate, please. Each dollar changes a lot of life, has like a lot of impact. But I'll hand over to Rachel to let you guys know what fun stuff they have in the basket for Earth Week.
Yes, we're really excited. And, like I was just saying, like, we can't do this stuff alone. We need everybody, and we need whatever you can offer, right? And there's so many different ways to contribute. Just by supporting Youth on Route, by following us, by staying engaged, by donating as little as $1. I often talk about like it's great. We love getting a huge fat check, right, from folks who have a lot of resources. But we love even more. We love the folks who are willing to make a like regular recurring commitment to us, even if it's small. If you can spare $5 a month from your paycheck, not asking for even like 25, 30, 50, that'd be great. But just that small amount that's like, this is what I've got to set aside from my income. And supporting Youth on Root, you are supporting youth of color from frontline communities in being able to do this work, right? Because we just provide them the resources and the space to do their thing and do it well. And so your investment in Youth on Root is an investment in a young person to be able to continue this fight and continue it in a way that it's really going to be solved. And so any kind of support and contribution you can make, however small, it makes a huge difference. You may not realize that your $1, $5 a month makes a difference to us. It genuinely does. Not only because every little bit counts, but also because this has to be something that is grassroots, that is built from the ground up, from the community up, right? We don't want to rely, on huge funders to be able to do our work. We want to rely on one another. We want to create something that is FUBU, for us, by us, right? Designed by the community, for the community. And we do need your help to do that. But even just by following Youth on Root on social media, we're going to have some really, really amazing Earth Day challenges. There are going to be 3 Earth Day challenges for Earth Week. They're going to be really fun. I will be making a fool of myself and participating, and I hope you will too. So if you follow us and check it out, the whole goal, right, beyond supporting our work is just have fun and just engage and just connect with what it means to have this time of Earth Week where we're able to identify like, hey, let me just take this moment and just do what I can, right? Maybe I can't do this every day. Maybe I don't have the capacity or the time or the energy to be able to dedicate every single day to environmental justice, right? But this week, this Earth Week, we can do that. We can take some time aside to reflect, to engage, and just to like really, really center ourselves in this work, no matter what, even if it's just by participating in one of our social media Earth Day challenges. So I definitely encourage you to check it out, to tap in, talk to young people in your life, talk to your friends, talk to your teachers, talk to your niece and nephew, right? Your nibblings, like talk to young people about this work and ask them to engage and have some fun with us, right? Get together with your family and participate in our challenges, anything like that. Like it's really going to make a difference because this movement really just needs like energy, support, and fundamentally it needs joy.
Yeah, and the best part about it is that it's just there's no sort of one thing that I have worried about in terms of nonprofits and the funding that comes with them. When it's a lot of corporate funding, you have some sort of um, obligations to their missions and values as well. But if it is more of community led, if there are more people supporting us, then we just have obligation to the people, and which we want to do anyway in the first place. So
Yeah, we're here for y'all. We're here for us, right? Not
exactly. So yeah, thank you for doing this, Rachel. I'm so glad we could do this. I am very excited to see all these young people come join on our Earth Day challenges and for all the support we're going to get. I'm pretty sure everybody who sees this will want to, after hearing what you had to say, I'm sure people will have want the support to, come your way. And I'm very excited to for everything that's coming for Youth and Root. I'm excited to be part of the journey. Thank you for doing this and happy Earth Week again, everyone.
Happy Earth Week. Thank you so much, Sumaira.